Yes. Okay. Do we have the list of people? Is there anyone that? Did anyone sign in to speak? I'm going to skip that part then. Okay. All right. Yes. Oh, certainly. But we have to. We'll let you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen O'Brien. I don't need to talk this loud when it's only us. Okay. And I just want to commend the district on a fantastic job, specifically Mary Claire Wass, Amanda Chauvin, and all of our custodians and all of the help and support of the parents and the PTA to have a wonderful, amazing Missoula program. I've been going to Missoula every time, and this was absolutely spectacular. Most of all, thank you to all the students who really were shining bright, and just those little critters were just the cutest things. I thought I was going to peel away dying. So just wanted to thank you all for your support, and I hope that we continue to do this worthwhile program. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is an update on the Centennial Capital Project Phase 1.
So I guess that's me. Okay. So we had a recent meeting with the architects and with Schoolhouse, which is our construction management firm, and we have submitted plans. We were assigned a number when I first got here by State Ed. Plans were submitted July 7th. So we are in the queue. Now, what does that mean? Well, we hope by November or December that it will come out of the queue with approval from State Ed. They've yet to ask us for additional information, which is a good sign. It's either a good sign that it's very well done, or it's a bad sign that they haven't even looked at it yet. My assumption is they haven't even looked at it yet. 3 months is about normal for a turnaround out of State Ed. So November, December is about when we're going to see some things that are coming out. In the meantime, we're meeting with them to make sure that, irregardless of when it comes out, that phase 1 starts and completes when it was supposed to. So that the playground is going to be done, the roofs, as much of the roofing as they can get done through phase 1 during that time period. We have been assured, in the way it was submitted to the state, that, let's say time runs out on phase 1, there's money left over, that money automatically rolls to phase 2, and the roofs will all get done. So everything that you put in phase 1 and phase 2 is going to be completed. All right, phase 1 is what's sitting at State Ed right now, because phase 2 really doesn't start until 25, 26. So this same process will go through for phase 2. The only other thing that's come up is, so we're in the process of having conversations regarding the playground, because we want to make sure that everything that we're going to do with this playground, right, meets State Ed requirements regarding bidding and all of that. So I know there was some preliminary work done. Folks liked the design that was done for us. And so our goal ultimately is to make sure that that design gets used, but we have to go through the appropriate process once it's all approved by State Ed to be able to go through with that. So we have all the drawings and all those types of things, exactly what you want, but yet working with our construction management firm and our architects to make sure that that's all kosher when it comes to how we bid it and those types of things, because it's really the project with the playground is bigger than just the playground, right? Because there's site work that needs to be done to make that area appropriate for the playground to be able to go there. So all of that's got to be bid. You know, we need to have a construction firm in there to be able to do that. And that needs to kind of pair nicely with the folks that are going to actually build your playground. So that's really the construction phase 1 update. Any questions? So we're on target. That was the one thing I made sure of, that no matter when this comes out of state ed, that whenever that happens, we need to move quickly with it.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, moving to the next item on the agenda, accept minutes of the reorg and regular July 5th, 2023 Board of Education meetings. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the meeting minutes from the July 5th, 2023 reorg and regular meetings as submitted. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Avis. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Teresa. Comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I was absent, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, that next one is just those meeting minutes, right, Celeste? I don't have to read that one separately. Okay. Next are Board of Education standing committees. Did any of our committees meet between July 5th and today? I don't believe they did, but policy, audit, building and grounds, okay. So none of those. Okay. Next item is to appoint standing committee members. There's no resolution here, so it's just as listed. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Comments or questions? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item is a correction of the health insurance trust name. Northeast Health Insurance on the reorganizational agenda should be Fulmont Health Trust, effective July 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Yep.
Thank you, Alyssa. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any comments or questions? If I understand correctly, Celeste, it's just the company changed the name. Okay. All right. Very good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next up, financial items. First item, recommendation that the Board of Education accept the following financial items as provided and recommended by the Treasurer and Assistant Superintendent of Management Services as listed. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Alyssa. Any comments or questions?
I had a question. I think I'm on the right one because there were so many in
Yeah, there
this
were a
group.
lot.
Okay, we already got the duplicate issue fixed. But for the financial general warrant A1, it looks like this. I want to say question number 2, but point number 2 on the checklist, it's empty. They didn't mark yes or no to verifying the checks. So do we know if those checks were verified in the audit? They are all verified. Okay. All right. They just missed that block? Yeah. Okay. And then for the high school and elementary roof analysis, is that just the estimate that they're giving us? Or, because that was $25,200. And I was just wondering.
What page are you on? Can you let
So
us know
that's
that?
yes, under A40 cap warrant HQ5, page 3. Yep, that's all right. And that's my fault because I didn't say the page number. Yeah, so it's page 3. There's a roof analysis for both the elementary and high school. and it's a total of 25,200. Is that just to give us an estimate? For Jeff? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next item, recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following contracts as recommended by the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services as listed. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second? Thank you, Tony. Any comments or questions about these?
I do have.
Go ahead.
No, you go first. I have to flip the page and find it.
Okay, so for the financial Bassett document for the employees, I noticed at the beginning it talks about the employees, but the last, like second to last paragraph, it talks about students. So I wasn't sure as to why it was mixed up in the contract. It's so it was page 1, it talks about the employees, where page 2 it talks about the students, but it was supposed to be about the employees, not the students.
Section 8, you mean?
I think so, yeah.
That big long paragraph, or in section 9 or 10?
I think it's 10. Yeah, I think it was 10. No. Yeah. 10, it talks about students. And I wasn't sure as to why it was talking about students in an employee contract. It's on page 2.
It's in that big long one?
Yeah,
Paragraph 8?
paragraph 10.
Oh, paragraph 10. So
Yeah.
not section 8, section
Yeah.
10. I'm
And-
sorry.
Yeah, and 10.
I have it now.
Yeah.
Tony, do you want to see it?
Oh, sure. Oh. Student records policy.
I guess I'm just noticing it looks like it's referring to the section of the law of the New York State education law. So is that why it's kind of bringing that conversation in, just because it's referring to that part of the law?
Well, I don't see how it would apply to, because it's talking about the hospital and how they're going to basically keep everything private. But this is in regards to the employees, a section about the employees should be in that area, I think, of our school.
Right.
Is it supposed to be because as a district, we have to keep all, in our policy, it says that we keep that information private? Maybe that's what it's referring to?
All the way up and west.
Yeah, it's talking about the
It is.
students. Yeah, so I think what they
Yeah.
did was they copied and pasted, because you have one for the employees and you have one for the students. And
Got
so
super transposed.
it got transposed, I think, to the wrong one.
Mhm.
But the other one it's correct for the students. But for this one, I don't think it's supposed to be in there.
Yeah, it looks like the section 8 on the student one is identical, right? So I think what we're thinking is maybe there was a
10.
copy and paste.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
paragraph,
section,
yeah.
section 10 on the employee one is,
Yeah.
there's a statement that's exactly the same as section 8 on the student one.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So perhaps it was transposed incorrectly.
Yeah, I think it should be saying something to the effect about the employees' privacy,
So-
not the students.
Question, can we make that amendment? Can we approve it now and with that amendment? Or do we have to send it back to Bassett?
So 10 really, sorry. 10 doesn't have any real significance to this particular agreement. Irregardless whether it's in there or out of there, it's irrelevant because FERPA doesn't apply to employees.
Okay.
Okay, so this particular contract is dealing with the adults, and the other contract you have is dealing with your students. The FERPA is applicable to student records regarding kids,
Right. Right.
not the adults, right? So, I think you could approve this because 10 really is not a non-existent part of this. I think it's just probably a template that they use in relationship to this,
Yeah.
as to what they're going to provide for you. If you want it out, we can table this, and that can be taken out, but it's not really applicable. So I'm not, even if you approved this, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, my only concern is it doesn't state anything about the employee privacy rights.
There is no employee privacy regarding FERPA.
No, not FERPA itself. I'm just saying privacy rights for their medical documents, period. I'm not seeing that anywhere.
So that would be HIPAA,
Right.
but that's all law, right? I don't think that you're
Well,
running
they're a
into a problem.
hospital entity, so they're supposed to have something stating HIPAA rights.
They would have HIPAA.
Yeah,
HIPAA is required by law of them as an organization.
Right. Right. I'm just saying
They're not required necessarily to have FERPA.
Right.
Right. The hospital has HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what everybody gets from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
FERPA is just regarding education records. So they would automatically get HIPAA, right? They're required by law to get HIPAA, whether it's in this contract or not.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Okay.
They're not required to provide, but because hospitals don't have FERPA, that needs to be in if they're dealing with students.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
So in absence of any language regarding adult confidentiality for their medical, that's HIPAA. That's state law, right? They have to abide by that.
Okay.
They need a stipulation for FERPA if they deal with students, because hospitals don't have FERPA. We do.
Right.
That's a requirement that we have, that state education law requires regarding student records. See what I'm saying to you?
So it doesn't need to be in this contract, but it is.
It doesn't need to be in this contract, but it is.
Okay.
It's basically moot when it comes to that.
Okay.
I have a question about something else. Are we done with this one?
Yeah.
That I can, okay. I just wanted to know what academic class or classes are planned to be serviced through the BOCES distance learning. So I saw the contract, but I didn't know what classes.
That's a good question. So that's still in a process
Okay.
of going through. We're actually,
I don't know if we were like just in casing or if we had a plan.
no, we actually have a plan
Okay.
because we're trying to work with them regarding Spanish.
As I thought it was.
We're trying to work with them to look at how we can do some coordination with SUNY Cobleskill. I'm one of these kind of people where if we have this wonderful opportunity through distance learning, we ought to be maximizing the use of that program. It's a fair chunk of money, and to not utilize it to its capacity to me is a waste of money. And so one of the things that I talked about with Jody was how we can go about doing this. Physics is another situation, and we think we have an agreement with BKW on the physics situation. We're cleaning up some language pieces on that, but Spanish is one, Other advanced classes are another, it's like as our population decreases, right, and our sections decrease, but we still need to provide opportunities.
Right.
And so that's my push. So I've already sent Mike Shalosky an email to be able to say, hey, if we have availability, I want to see what courses are available during the times that we have free
And what we can offer.
so that we can put them on the plate
Okay.
to be able to move forward.
Great. Thank you.
So I don't have an exact
That's okay. That's good.
of what we're presently doing,
Okay.
other than we're toying with this Spanish thing, because BKW is in the same situation we're in, right? And they have a brand new Spanish teacher. We have an experienced Spanish teacher. Our experienced Spanish teacher may not be able to teach the upper level classes because we need the lower level classes covered. So Tim and I have been in conversation about, okay, what are BKW's needs? What are our needs? Our person can teach upper level. Your person can teach lower level. How can't we take all the sections that we have between the two
Make it work.
districts and split those between those teachers and deliver it through the distance learning network? It's a little
Okay.
easier to do that than it is physics. So our agreement
Great.
with BKW is to have their physics teacher come here at the end of the day and deliver both the instruction and the labs here.
Okay.
So we're still playing around with some of the logistics of all that, but I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to move forward along those
Good
lines.
use. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm
Avis,
sorry, I
go
have
ahead.
more.
No, no, go ahead.
There was a lot in this section. So under is the True North record access, I was just wondering, should it say something to the fact that access to students' record requires parental release? It's the True North K-12. It doesn't say it at all in there. And I was just wondering if it should say something to that effect. It's saying that the school can release it. So would then the school get a release from the parents? Is that how it works? Or
This is an opt-in program, right? I think,
Mhm.
right? So then parents would maybe be giving permission for their student to participate in the first place. So perhaps it's part of that.
Yeah, I was
But
just
then-
wondering if
right.
they retrieve the release or does the school retrieve the release? And if they are supposed to, I just thought it should say so in here. I just wasn't sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I had asked a question about this of Jeff Rivenberg, and he responded to all of us that this is a just in case, because we did
Right,
need it last
right.
year. We may or may not need it this year, so we're setting it up so that we have it
Yeah.
available.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure
Can-
how the release of the records worked because it
Could
said,
you tell me which section that is in, Avis? Just because
Yeah, I
trying
wish
to
I wrote it down.
read the whole thing is.
Oh, it's under record access. So it's on page 4 towards
Okay.
the end.
Okay.
So again, FERPA applies. So if they go there, they get demographic information. Okay, if there are IEPs or anything like 504 plans, they would have access to those so that they can deliver those services in relationship to those
Okay.
plans. But again, because they're kind of an educational entity, FERPA applies across the board, both
Okay.
to them and to us.
Okay.
So initially, they would need demographic information regarding the student. They would need placement. They would need transcripts available along those lines so that they can design the best appropriate program for those kids to turn in that alternative setting.
Okay. So I'm assuming the parents have to authorize the release through the school then.
That is correct.
Okay.
We
Alright,
would not
that's what
release
you're saying.
anything to True North, just like we
Without
wouldn't release
parental.
anything to a student who decides to go to Schenectady, right?
Okay.
Unless that parent has signed a release of information for that information to go there.
Okay.
And then that's the standard protocol when any student leaves our district and goes to another district or another type of placement, even if it's a private school.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just didn't know who did the release part. I did have another question. So who chose Empire Neuro Services, PLLC? Is it chosen by the parents or chosen by the school? It's under Financial Empire Neuro. It's for the neuropsychologist.
I don't know exactly how this particular agency got picked. My assumption is that there are probably very few people that do this.
I might be able to speak to this a little bit.
Oh, good.
Jeff, just
Okay.
because of my my work experience. So when I'm contracted to do something that a school ends up paying for, essentially the school puts it on the parent to find the provider that they want, and as long as
Okay.
that provider meets the qualifications that are required by the school to complete that evaluation, then they'll approve that. So,
Okay.
and I can say also that there are 3 pediatric neuropsychologists
Okay.
from Saratoga to Newburgh.
Okay.
So we had one of 3 options. And
Okay.
so I happen to know, this is just an aside, but I happen to know that Dr. Cohen is highly respected. I
Okay.
refer to her all the time, so I was pleased to see that was what was selected. So,
Okay.
but yes, very likely that was a selection made by parents, and then this is just because whatever evaluation needs to be done is going to be paid for by the school
Okay.
because of the type of evaluation that it is, and probably because we don't have everything that we need in-house to complete that type of evaluation.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I've never seen it before.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Where am I? All in favor? No, we did the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Okay. Next item, recommendation that the Duanesburg Board of Education approve the following K through 12 student and adult breakfast and lunch prices as recommended by the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. I think I could read this. Current student breakfast is going from $1.85 to $2, and student lunch from $3 to $3.25. Adult breakfast and lunch and student milk prices are staying the same. So, do I have a motion?
A motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second? Thank you, Sarah. Any comments or questions?
Will there be a notification at the beginning of the school year for how to, put money into their accounts? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. All right, that's all I had to ask. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item, recommendation that the Duanesburg Board of Education approve the 2023-2024 tax warrant in the amount of $8,744,255 as recommended by the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Tentative tax rates are per $1,000 of assessed value. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Alyssa. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Avis. Comments and questions, rather. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That document went around to be signed, I believe. Okay. Next item, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves payment of the healthcare-related services stipend of $1,300 to Melissa Misek, Erica McMaster, and Mino Colon as per the Duanesburg Educational Support Association contract. Article, what is that, 25? Item G, effective with the start of the 2023-2024 school year. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Thank you, Tony. A second?
A second.
Thank you, Teresa. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next item. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves payment of the kitchen inventory stipend to Christy Hennessy and Zoraida Alendi as per the Duanesburg Educational Support Association contract, Article 24, Item C2, effective with the start of the 2023-2024 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Sarah. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Avis. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to other. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following policies as recommended by the superintendent. Policy 5630 for facilities, inspection, operation, and maintenance. Policy 7420, supports and the athletic program. And policy 8450, home, hospital, or institutional instruction, homebound instruction. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Tony. A second? Thank you, Alyssa. Questions or comments?
I have a question. Policy 7420 on page 3, under sudden cardiac arrest, paragraph A there. It just says extra class periods or in physical education or extra class activities. Like, what does that, is that someone who's like making up a class, or they're doing a class that's different because they play sports? I just don't, vocabulary-wise, I just don't know what it means.
What page is it on?
It's on page 3, policy 7420, under sudden cardiac arrest, A, and it's in the last sentence. It says, or inclusive athletic basis to supplement regular physical education class instruction, otherwise known as extra class periods in physical education or extra class activities. I just don't know if it was a makeup class or if it was so they can meet their New York State requirement for physical education, or if it was separate because they're in a sport. I just didn't understand the vocabulary.
I do not know the answer to your
Okay.
question, Teresa, but what I will say is that it looks like this piece is just defining all of the things that would fall under athletic activities, so
Yeah.
that for the remainder of
maybe
the
not super
policy,
important.
to me, not knowing exactly what that means is that they're covering, it's
Anything that they're
at
doing
all,
that's
right, at
moving
all the
their
rest,
body.
right,
Okay.
et cetera, because, exactly, perhaps someone is staying after school to make up a PE class, and
Okay.
we still have to cover them if they are under cardiac arrest.
Right.
I
Okay.
assume.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It tells you the coverage and then it goes into detail the process, I guess, if something happens.
Yeah, I would agree with.
You're off.
Now you're on.
Sorry, I was on the whole time. Yeah, I think what they're stipulating here is in relationship to this policy, that they're saying if a kid is doing anything athletic related in relationship to this, intramurals, extra classes and whatnot, we need to provide the appropriate supervision. so
Anywhere,
that
anytime. Sounds good to me in a policy. Okay.
If this were to happen, we're there to take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next item, recommendation that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of this Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education meetings and their minutes from the July 12th, 13th, 17th, 24th, 27th, 31st, and August 1st, 2023 meetings. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Avis. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alyssa. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item, recommendation that the Board of Education adopt the revised athletic code of conduct for the 2023-2024 school year as recommended by the superintendent and athletic director. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Tony. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Teresa. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving forward to personnel. First item, recommendation that the Board of Education accept the resignations of the following employees as listed. Can I say that, Celeste? Okay. Quite a number there. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alyssa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Avis. Any comments or questions? I'll just comment that we have a couple of resignations, but next on the agenda is the appointments that will replace those resignations. So we're on top of that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to appoint the following to a 4-year probationary appointment contingent upon compliance with the requirements of the education law. I will read these out just for clarity. Alicia Donahue, UPK teacher, effective 9/1/23, tenure period ending 8/31/27, elementary education tenure area master step 8. Johanna Molitor, science teacher, effective 9/1/23, tenure period ending 8/31/27, science tenure area bachelor's step 2. And Andrew Myers, health PE teacher, effective 9/1/23, tenure period ending 8/31/27, health tenure area master's step 3. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Comments or questions?
Thank you and welcome.
Yes. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. All right, next item. Recommendation that the Board of Education appoint and approve all positions as listed. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Alyssa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Avis. Comments or questions?
And I'm happy to do Capital District. I can
Yes,
do.
Francis sent a note that said he was happy to do that again.
And I'm happy to do the Capital District.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, last personnel item is recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following appointments as recommended by the superintendent, building principal, and athletic director. ECA appointments are for the applicable 2023-2024 school year and sports season, beginning with preseason practice and ending at the conclusion of the season, including sectional play. All appointments are employees at will, and the appointment at this time does not guarantee employment for the entire school, season, term, or year. As listed, we have 4. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You're abstaining for 1? Okay. Okay. Last item for the evening is an informational item for everyone out there listening. We, as a group, met before this meeting this evening with the search consultants with regard to the superintendent search. They will be here at the next meeting on September 12th. So we encourage everyone to be here so that they can explain the process of what the search will look like. We should have the dates of when each step of that process will be happening at that meeting. And we're going to be starting the process with community input that is going to take a variety of forms, one of which will be a survey, and that will be available beginning the very next day. So, we're excited. It's going to be a pretty lengthy process and detailed process, but I think we're all feeling hopeful that we'll be able to find the right fit for us. So that's that, and we'll be keeping you updated at every step of the way. Oh, yes, go ahead,
Just
Tony.
information. At the next meeting, the people who are going to be inducted into the Duanesburg Hall of Fame we were going to have a little reception from 6 to 6:30 out in the hallway there, and the people who are being inducted and their families will be here. So it's a little meet and greet, and then they will be recognized by the board during the meeting. So if spread the news and come and meet these people.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, I think that's all we have for this evening. Oh, no, Jeff?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know me, I am Jeff Ziegler.
You should have introduced him, I'm sorry.
I'm not the new interim superintendent of schools, because actually I was here 3 years ago as the interim superintendent of schools during the transition between Frank and Jim. And so when I discovered that Duanesburg had another opening, I was most excited to have gotten a call from the folks at Cap Region BOCES to be able to come back and provide this district the opportunity to serve you guys again. I look forward to continuing some of the great things you have going on. As you mentioned, I think you're right. We need to continue to do those things. And so it's my pleasure to be back. So looking forward to a great school year. We have kind of already set the stage for things, and there were some shakeups at the end of the year, and so we're kind of moving forward with that shakeup that occurred and looking at it from how we can best, as I always keep saying to everybody I talk to around here, we all have a responsibility to be able to meet the needs of our kids, right? That's first and foremost. And even if there's a shakeup, we got to figure out whose plate got full and whose plate's going to get fuller in relationship to this, because in the business we're in, right, that happens. And I look at it as, so that may be a problem, but the ultimate goal is to take a look at what are the solutions to the problem, right? And we have between now and September 1 to sort that out. So we've already begun that process. We've already taken a look at some of the shakeup to be able to figure out how to best meet the needs of kids, how to best be supportive of the administrators, and most importantly, my conversations across the board have been, we all have a cultural responsibility around here to meet needs of kids. It's not just any particular individual, it's all of us. We're a team. We need to operate as a team. We need to be supportive of each other. We all need to be consistent in our application, because we know that there's one thing with inconsistency that comes from is that the kids will take advantage of that, as all of our children did. If you have children, we all know what that is to be a parent. So when we're taking a look at that shakeup, it's really having conversations with everybody about how can we collectively as a group provide the consistency, provide the support for each other, both teachers and administrators, from this office, from every other office. And it really doesn't matter what you do here. We have an obligation to provide that cultural experience that's setting high expectations, both academically and behaviorally across the board for kids. So we've addressed a lot of the needs that came up from teachers, from support staff, from administrators, and we've taken a look at us, from an organizational piece to be able to figure out who's going to do what, when, or where. We're lucky to have an intern also that's going to be at the high school. I had a great 2-hour meeting today with her. And I'm excited about the opportunities that we're going to be putting in place for her. She's an experience. She's not new here, and so she has a wealth of knowledge, and she's got that young administrative get up and go, which is what we like to see too. So I'm pleased with the progress we've made regarding this. I'm pleased that we're kind of building a cohesive team together. There was some division there that occurred, and the goal ultimately was to bring folks on board. I was pretty clear up front and said, look, I really don't want to get into likes and dislikes. We're professionals. We have a responsibility as professionals. We have an obligation to fulfill what we need to be able to do, and collectively as a group, it's all about kids. And we can't let that get in the way of what we need to be doing for our kids. So I'm happy to be back, to be honest with you. So looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And I should have introduced you at the very
Well,
beginning.
I
I'm
have a
sorry about that.
beautiful
You have a
sign.
lovely
I
sign,
do have a
yes.
lovely sign.
And
I might take the sign with me.
we've been working with you for 6 weeks, and so I forget
like
that.
old hat.
Yeah. So, but we're
They haven't
very
kicked me out yet.
Yep. We're very grateful to have you as well. So, thank you for that. Okay, last item, a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Thank you, Avis. Tony, would you like to second that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, no abstentions. All right.